The hallway smelled of chalk dust and old wood, footsteps echoing like distant thunder. I sat at my desk, grading papers, my hand pressed to my cheek to block the light. Hiding. Always hiding. In this small town, eyes followed you everywhere. Neighbors, parents, the kind who whispered about anything different. My heart thudded when she passed, her boots soft on the linoleum. I didn't look up. Couldn't. One glance and the want I'd buried would show. Vulnerability here meant judgment, isolation. But her shadow lingered, pulling at me. I gripped the pen tighter. The bell rang. Another day of pretending. I taught English at the rural high school, the one with peeling paint and windows that stuck in winter. Expectations pressed in from all sides. Parents wanted straight-A kids and traditional families. The principal quoted Bible verses at staff meetings. I nodded, smiled, kept my head down. Focus on the work. That's what I told myself each morning, pulling on my blouse, buttoning it to the top. But focus slipped when she was near. Her name was Elena. She taught history 2 doors down. We'd sort papers in the break room sometimes, the fluorescent hum buzzing overhead. Her hands moved precisely, stacking essays, fingers long and steady. I watched them once. Too long. The way they folded a corner, smoothed a crease. Taut muscles shifted under her blouse sleeves as she reached for the coffee pot. Blue cotton, fitted just enough to hint at the strength beneath. I looked away, heat rising in my chest. The room felt too small then. Air thick with the scent of stale coffee and her faint soap. Clean, like fresh linen. We didn't talk much. Small words about lesson plans, the upcoming assembly. But her presence pulled. I wondered if she noticed my pauses, the way my pen hovered over a grade. Was the work masking something deeper? This longing I'd carried since college, buried under safe choices and small-town nods. One afternoon, eyes met briefly over the mugs, hers unflinching, dark and steady. My heartbeat thudded, loud in my ears. I broke first, turning to the window, watching gravel lots empty of buses. Thud. Thud. Like a warning. Desire wasn't safe here. Not with church potlucks and family dinners where aunts asked about finding a nice man. Elena sipped her coffee, unaware. Or was she? Days blurred into routine. Morning announcements crackled over the intercom. I stood at the board, chalk in hand, diagramming sentences while students doodled. Elena's class ended early. She'd pass my door, nodding. That nod, simple, but it lingered, made my shoulders tense. I erased the board harder than needed, dust clouding the air. In the lounge again, midweek. She sorted attendance sheets, blouse sleeve riding up to show a faint scar on her forearm. From chopping wood, she'd said once. Rural life. My eyes traced it before I caught myself. Internal pull sharpened. Why her? The way she moved, deliberate, no wasted motion. Like she saw through the pretense. I clutched my mug, knuckles white. Heart thudded again. Community eyes watched us both. Single women, unmarried, focused on jobs. Whispers could start with less. A shared lunch, a too long glance. I asked about her weekend plans, voice steady. Grading, she said, same as you. But her gaze held mine a second longer. Thud. By evening, the school quieted. I stayed late, preparing for tomorrow's poetry unit. Hallways empty, lights dimmed. Elena's door clicked shut down the hall. Footsteps faded. I exhaled, alone with stacks of books and the weight in my chest. But the pull remained, echoing in the silence. The next morning brought rain, pattering against the classroom windows like hesitant fingers. I arrived early, spreading out the poetry books on my desk. Frost, Dickinson, words about hidden longings that mirrored too closely. I arranged them in neat stacks, avoiding the mirror across the room. My reflection there always showed the same guarded eyes. Elena appeared at my door around 10, arms full of rolled-up maps for her history class. Mind if I borrow your projector? Her voice was even, practical. I nodded, stepping aside. She moved to the back, unrolling a map of the Civil War battlefields on the wooden desk. The surface creaked under the weight, old oak protesting the shift. I watched from the front, pretending to sort handouts. Her fingers adjusted the edges, pinning them flat with paperweights. Precise movements, no rush. The faint scent of her perfume drifted, something light, like lavender fields after rain. It mixed with the damp air seeping through the cracks. My chest tightened. I shouldn't notice these things. Not here. She straightened, gaze flicking up, unflinching. Dark eyes holding mine for a beat too long. I looked down, heat crawling up my neck. That gaze, it stripped the pretense. Saw the want I kept buried. Prior heartbreaks flooded back. The girl from college, our walks by the river turning to whispers when town gossip reached her family. It's just phase, they'd said. But it wasn't. It broke her. Broke me. Left me hiding in places like this, where difference meant isolation. I laughed inwardly, dry and bitter. Look at me, the English teacher, diagramming sentences while my own words stuck in my throat. Out of place in this routine, grading papers on metaphors I couldn't live. Single at 35, attending church suppers alone, nodding at questions about settling down. Elena fit better. New to town, focused, no baggage showing. Yet here I was, lingering on her hands, the way they smoothed the map like calming a storm. Students filtered in for my next class, breaking the moment. But the awareness stuck. During lunch, we ended up in the lounge again, collaborating on the assembly script. The parent-teacher event loomed, a night of folding chairs and forced smiles under the gym lights. She sat across the table, breath steady, as she read lines aloud. I heard it. Soft inhales, the rise of her chest under that blue blouse. Heightened, every sound pulling me closer. Our chairs scooted nearer as we edited. Her knee brushed mine under the table. Accidental. Warmth spread, uninvited. I shifted, but the air thickened. Her breath quickened slightly when I suggested a change, words tumbling out. Was she aware, or just the work? My pulse thudded, echoing the rain outside. This collaboration, it wasn't just scripts. It was proximity, dangerous in its quiet pull. By afternoon, the rain eased. I watched her leave her room, maps tucked under arm, heading to the library. Her stride steady, blouse sleeves rolled now, showing that scar again. I turned back to my desk, but the image lingered. Eyes on the poetry book, lines blurring. I heard a fly buzz when I died. Not helpful. My own buzz was internal, a warning hum. Evening approached. The parent-teacher setup waited. Volunteers needed for tables, chairs, the punch bowl that always leaked. Elena volunteered too, her name on the sign-up sheet I'd seen. Community eyes would watch us both. 2 teachers lingering after dark. I folded flyers at my desk, hands trembling slightly. The creak of the building settling mirrored my unease. Prior gossip echoed. That summer I'd been seen with a woman from the city. Visits cut short by whispers. Heartbreak followed, walls built higher. Self-deprecating chuckle escaped. Me, hiding behind grades and grammar. Feeling like the outsider in my own routine, drawn to her calm amid the storm. Yet the glances piled up. Hers, unflinching. Mine, stolen. Breath awareness sharpened in every shared space. As the bell rang dismissing students, I gathered my things. The gym awaited, fluorescent lights buzzing like judgments. Elena passed again, nodding. See you there, her perfume trailed. I nodded back, heart thudding. The event would test this, lingering glances under watchful eyes. The gym doors creaked open to the smell of polished wood and fresh coffee from the urn. Folding chairs scraped as parents and teachers arranged rows under the fluorescent hum that always made my temples throb. The parent-teacher night had begun, a ritual of small talk and report cards in this tight-knit town where everyone knew your business before you did. I scanned the crowd, spotting families clustered by the bleachers, farmers in flannel, mothers with Bibles tucked in purses, all eyes on the stage where the principal would drone about values and community. Elena was already there, near the refreshment table, stacking cups with that deliberate focus. Her blouse sleeves were rolled to her elbows now, the scar on her forearm catching the harsh light. I moved to help with the chairs, our paths crossing near the front row. Her arm brushed mine as she handed over a stack. Subtle, but grounding. The warmth lingered on my skin, steadying the knot in my stomach. I nodded thanks, but inside, pressure built. Family expectations loomed large here. My own sister had cornered me last week at dinner, her voice low over pot roast. When are you settling down? Church has so many eligible men. I smiled through it, but the words echoed now, amplifying the barrier between want and what was allowed. As the event started, we sat side by side in the folding chairs, metal cold against my legs. Parents filed in, whispers rippling like wind through cornfields. Conservative talk filled the air, lessons on family, faith, the town's unchanging ways. I felt eyes on us, 2 single teachers without rings or stories of suitors. Elena's knee was inches from mine, her posture straight, unflinching. But I caught the slight tension in her jaw, the way her fingers gripped the program. Mutual hiding, I realized. She carried it too. The weight of whispers that could unravel a life built on discretion. My chest tightened as hidden desires surfaced, unbidden. The principal's voice boomed about moral foundations, and all I could think was her breath, close enough to hear over the hum. A parent leaned over from the row behind, chatting about her son's grades. "You're such a good influence," she said to me, then glanced at Elena. "Both of you, keeping things proper." The word proper landed heavy, a reminder of barriers. Family eyes watched, mine from afar, hers perhaps from letters back home. Empathy swelled for her, this woman who chopped wood and taught battles, but navigated the same quiet storms. We exchanged a glance, brief, loaded. Her eyes held understanding, dark and steady. The fluorescent lights buzzed louder during the Q&A, casting shadows on the concrete floor dotted with scuff marks from basketball games. Chairs clattered as people shifted, the air thick with coffee steam and unspoken judgments. Elena's hand rested on the armrest between us, fingers drumming softly. When a question turned to community values, her support came again. A subtle shift, her shoulder brushing mine. Grounding. It eased the tightness in my chest, but only for a moment. Desires I'd buried under lesson plans and church nods pressed up, raw and insistent. What if one wrong look shattered it all? Whispers started slow here. Those 2 teachers, always together. Isolation followed. Jobs threatened, families turning away. As the evening wound down, parents trickled out, chairs folding with metallic snaps. Elena helped stack them, her movements efficient amid the emptying gym. The hum softened, but pressure lingered in the quiet. I gathered flyers, heart thudding. "Good turnout," she said, voice low. I agreed, but the words hung. Mutual empathy bridged us, hiding in plain sight, desires veiled by routine. The gym cleared, leaving echoes. She nodded toward my classroom down the hall. "Mind if we go over the feedback sheets?" Privately. Her tone was practical, but her gaze pulled. I followed, the door clicking shut behind us, air shifting in the empty space. The classroom door clicked shut, sealing us in with the faint scent of eraser dust and aged textbooks. Moonlight slanted through the blinds, striping the floor in pale lines. Elena set the feedback sheets on my desk, the papers rustling softly. We pulled up chairs, close enough that the wooden legs scraped together. Silence settled first, heavy and expectant. The air thickened, carrying the echo of the gym's chatter, now distant, like a memory fading. She leaned forward, elbows on the desk, scanning the first sheet. Her fingers trailed along the edge of a nearby poetry book, tracing the spine absently. Leather-bound, worn from years of hands like mine. That touch, deliberate, unhurried, pulled at something deep inside me. An internal tug, sharp and insistent, like a thread unraveling. I shifted in my seat, watching her nail catch the ridge of the binding. Why did that simple motion stir the want I'd locked away? The room felt smaller, walls pressing in with the weight of unspoken things. "These notes on the assembly," she said finally, voice low, breaking the quiet. Parents seemed pleased, but I caught the undercurrent. The questions about values. Her eyes lifted to mine, unflinching, dark, searching. I nodded, throat tight. Workplace risks hung between us, unvoiced but real. A wrong word here, a glance too long, and jobs could slip away. Tenure meant nothing against community pull. I'd seen it before. A teacher from the city, whispers about her lifestyle, leading to quiet resignation. I traced the desk's grain with my thumb, avoiding her gaze. Faith plays into it, I admitted, words tumbling slow. Doubts I'd carried for years surfaced, raw. Church every Sunday, hymns about purity and paths straight. But my path curved, hidden. They expect us to fit the mold. No questions. Elena's chair creaked as she leaned back, fingers still on the book spine. She didn't interrupt, just listened, her breath steady in the hush. Proximity built as we reviewed the sheets. Our knees brushed under the desk. Accidental at first, then lingering. Warmth spread from that point, slow and unyielding, up my leg, into my chest. I didn't pull away. Couldn't. The contact grounded me, yet ignited the pull stronger. Her blouse shifted with the movement, a button straining slightly. I focused on the papers, but awareness sharpened. Her inhale, the faint lavender clinging to her skin. "Tell me," she said softly, setting the sheet aside. "What do you doubt?" Her question hung, simple but piercing. I hesitated, hand rising to my face, trembling fingers pressing against my cheek. Hiding again, shielding the confession bubbling up. The risks we'd both navigated, her new to town, me rooted deep. Faith's grip, community's eyes. "Everything," I whispered. "Wanting this. Us. It's not safe." My voice cracked, hand shaking now, blocking her view. She reached across, her fingers closing over mine gently. Warm, steady. The touch stopped my words, heart thudding loud in the silence. Air thickened further, charged with the admission. Doubt spilled then. College heartbreaks, family silences, the fear of losing this fragile life. Elena listened, knees still against mine, warmth spreading like a quiet fire. No judgment in her eyes, just understanding. The book spine forgotten, her hand lingered on mine, evoking that internal pull deeper. We stood eventually, sheets gathered, the review done, but the silence transformed. Charged. She opened the door, gesturing to the hallway. Dim lights flickered on as we stepped out, shadows stretching long. Gravel crunched faintly outside through an open window, night air cool. Our footsteps echoed soft, side by side, the walk pulling us toward whatever came next. The hallway lights buzzed faintly as we walked, shadows pooling at our feet. Night had settled over the school grounds, the air crisp when we stepped outside. Gravel crunched under our boots, sharp and uneven, each step pulling us farther from the building's hum. Elena walked close, her shoulder brushing mine now and then. The contact sent a jolt through me, unbidden. I kept my eyes on the path ahead, stars pricking the dark sky above the tree line. But her presence tugged harder, like gravity shifting underfoot. We paused near the parking lot, the chain-link fence rattling in a light wind. Her boots scuffed the gravel as she turned to face me. "Nights like this remind me of home," she said, voice low, almost lost in the rustle of leaves. She leaned against the fence, arms crossed, the blue blouse collar loosening at her neck. A glimpse of skin showed there, pale under the moonlight. I swallowed, pulse quickening despite my efforts to stay even. Back there, winters locked you in. Cabin fever, they called it. But it was more. Walls closing, secrets piling like snow. Her words came slow, laced with metaphors I recognized. Vulnerabilities wrapped in rural grit, the kind that shaped you without breaking the surface. I nodded, but my body betrayed the calm I clung to. Pulse raced in my throat, thudding steady against the night's quiet. Her gaze found mine, intense, breaking through my averted stare. I tried to look away, toward the empty fields beyond, but she held there, unflinching. dark eyes pulling me back, seeing the cracks I'd hidden all evening. The wind tugged at her hair, a strand falling across her forehead. She didn't brush it aside, just watched me, the space between us shrinking without a step.
"Why do you turn away?" she asked, softer now but direct.
Her color shifted again with the breeze, another inch of skin catching the faint light from a distant street lamp. Smooth, unmarked except for the faint line of a vein. My breath caught, chest tightening as warmth spread low. I gripped the fence wire behind me, metal cool and biting into my palm. The pull intensified, raw and insistent, like the gravel shifting under pressure. Was this what I'd feared? Her voice, her nearness, unraveling the careful hold I'd kept? She pushed off the fence, closing the gap. Boots crunched closer, her hand lifting to adjust her collar, fingers lingering at the undone button. The motion drew my eyes down, then up, pulse hammering louder. "I see it in you," she continued, voice dropping further. "The same weight I carried once. Like carrying a load of firewood that's too heavy, splintering your hands if you don't set it down." Metaphors again, her past woven into images of labor and endurance. Farm work, isolation, the slow burn of wanting what the town forbade. My quickened pulse echoed her words, body alive with the admission she offered. Calm fled, desire sharpened, focused on her steady breath, the way her chest rose under the blouse. Eye contact held, intense now, her gaze breaking mine no longer. I met it, unflinching for the first time. The air between us thickened, charged with the night's chill and something warmer. Gravel dug into my soles as I shifted, drawn in. Her fingers dropped from the collar, brushing my arm accidentally, or not. Skin tingled at the touch, pulse racing wild. We stood there, the school a dark shape behind us, fields stretching silent. The pull was undeniable, vulnerabilities shared in low tones and stolen glimpses. "Come on," she said finally, nodding toward the side door. "My office. We need to talk more." Her hand grazed my elbow, guiding me back. The door creaked open, lock clicking as she secured it behind us. The office waited, dim and private, pulling us deeper into the exchange. The office door swung shut behind us, the click echoing in the narrow space like a held breath released. Elena's office was a small room off the history wing, walls lined with maps and faded posters of ancient battles. Dim light from a single desk lamp cast long shadows across the cluttered desk. Stacks of books, a globe tilted slightly, pens scattered like forgotten thoughts. The confines amplified everything. Her breath, soft and measured, mingling with mine in the stale air thick with the scent of old paper and faint ink. Tension coiled tighter here, away from the night's open gravel, the walls pressing in like unspoken fears. She moved to the desk, flipping on another light, but kept it low. The bulb hummed, a low vibration under the floorboards. I hovered near the door, clutching a stray feedback sheet from earlier, fingers crumpling the edges. It was a shield, thin as it was, against the pull I'd felt building outside. Her hand neared as she turned, reaching for a chair, but paused midair, sensing my stance. Dark eyes locked on mine, unflinching in the shadow play dancing across her face from the lamp's glow. The room felt too confined, breath sinking in the quiet. Inhale, exhale. Her chest rising under the blouse, mine tightening in response. I pressed back against the desk edge, the wood digging into my hips, sharp and grounding. Internal questions swirled, fear knotting my gut. What if I admitted it? The courageous choice to voice the want, to let vulnerability crack the surface. Here, in this town where faith and family wove expectations like iron chains, speaking it could unravel everything. Job, community, the fragile routine I'd built. But her nearness chipped at the resolve, her hand still hovering, warmth radiating without touch. My knuckles whitened on the paper, hiding the tremble, the raw edge of desire I'd buried under lessons and nods. "Why do you hold back?" she whispered, voice low, driving into the rawness like a question too pointed to dodge. Her fingers inched closer, brushing the air near my arm. Sensory overload hit, the desk's edge biting deeper, shadows shifting as she leaned in, her silhouette merging with the map on the wall. Battles long past, but this felt like one now, internal and immediate. Breath sounds amplified, hers steady, mine shallow, thudding heart echoing in my ears. Fear of the admission surged. What if she pulled away? What if the town learned, whispers turning to stares at church, family dinners turning cold? Yet the pull demanded courage, a step beyond hiding. I clutched the notes tighter, paper crinkling loud in the hush. Her hand closed the distance, gentle but insistent, fingers grazing my wrist. Warmth spread, unyielding. "Tell me," she pressed, another whisper, eyes searching the shadows on my face. Emotional rawness built, words sticking in my throat, doubts about faith's narrow path, heartbreaks that taught silence, the want for her that defied it all. The desk pressed harder as I shifted, shadows playing across her collar, the undone button revealing a pulse point flickering. Overload peaked, breaths ragged, tension humming like the lamp. Her hand neared my face now, slow, as if testing the air. I turned slightly, notes rising to shield my eyes, hiding the vulnerability cracking through. Fear gripped. The courageous admission loomed, terrifying in its honesty. What would it mean to stop hiding? To let her see the depth of it? Whispers continued, her questions peeling layers, about the glances, the brushes, the weight we both carried. Rawness exposed in fragments, my voice breaking on half-formed truths. The pivotal moment built, her fingers inches from mine, shadows deepening, breath sinking in the charged air. Her fingers closed the final distance, warm and sure, wrapping around my trembling hand. She pulled it away from my face gently, the notes crumpling in my grip as they fell to the desk with a soft thud. The air between us stilled, breath sinking in the dim glow. I felt exposed, skin prickling under her unflinching gaze. Dark eyes held mine, steady, seeing through the last veil I'd clung to. No more hiding. The shivers started at her touch, rippling down my arm, settling deep in my chest like a quiet storm breaking. "Stop hiding what you want," she said softly, her voice a low thread in the hush, pulling me closer without force. The words landed heavy, simple, cutting to the core. My hand stayed in hers, palm against palm, the warmth lingering, spreading slow like ink on paper. Her thumb brushed my cheek then, a deliberate stroke, rough from years of handling books and maps, tracing the line of my jaw. Skin heated under it, a flush I couldn't suppress. Pulse thudded in my ears, loud against the lamp's hum. Desire acknowledged now, raw and named in that touch. No turning back. Eyes locked, hers unflinching, mine meeting for the first time without retreat. The shadows played across her face, highlighting the faint lines at her eyes, the steady rise of her chest under the blouse. I saw her then. Vulnerability mirrored back, the same weight we'd both carried in silences and glances. The courageous choice surged through me, a decision forged in that moment. I leaned in, closing the gap, forehead resting against hers. Breath mingled, warm and uneven, her exhale brushing my lips. The office walls faded, the risks outside irrelevant. Just this, her thumb still on my cheek, warmth anchoring me. We stayed like that, hands linked, the pull no longer internal but shared. Her free hand rose to my shoulder, fingers pressing lightly through the fabric, grounding the shiver that lingered. "I've seen it in you," she whispered, voice closer now, intimate in the confines. "The way you watch, then look away. Same as me." Admission hung between us, truths we'd both buried under routines and nods. My body responded, leaning further, the desk edge forgotten. Desire flooded clear, no masks. The touch on my cheek trailed down, thumb lingering at my collar, not pushing, but present. Heat built there, steady, unyielding. Realization settled deep. No more stopped hiding. The want I'd pressed down for years, through heartbreaks and church whispers, rose, acknowledged. Her eyes searched mine, dark and open, reflecting the same courage. I nodded, words failing. but the lean said enough. Proximity sharpened every sense. The faint lavender on her skin, the soft creak of the chair as she shifted closer, her knee pressing against mine again. Thudding heart eased into rhythm with hers, breaths deepening in the charged air. Emotional turn came quiet, a shift from fear to resolve. The courageous choice to lean in, to let vulnerability bridge us, felt right, hard-won. Her thumb brushed my cheek once more, warmth fading slow as she pulled back slightly, but hands stayed linked. "We don't have to rush," she murmured, voice soft, eyes holding the promise. But the acknowledgement lingered, desire no longer hidden but alive between us. The office felt larger now, shadows softening with the first hint of dawn creeping through the blinds. We stepped out eventually, the hallway dim and empty, footsteps echoing soft as we parted for the night. But the pull remained, drawing me back to my classroom as light filtered in, morning reflection waiting in the quiet stacks of books, and the echo of her touch. Morning light filtered through the classroom blinds, pale and insistent, cutting across the desk where papers lay scattered from the night before. I sat there, coffee mug cooling in my hands, the steam long gone. The night's shift settled in my bones, a quiet ache mixed with something lighter, like fog lifting over the fields. Her touch echoed still, thumb on my cheek, hand pulling mine away. No more hiding. The realization hit slow, processing the raw edge of it all. Desire acknowledged, vulnerabilities traded in whispers. The school stirred outside, buses rumbling in the lot, but inside, time stretched, letting me sift through the change. Elena passed my door mid-morning, her steady presence an anchor in the hallway bustle. She paused, leaning in the frame, gaze meeting mine across the empty desks. No words, just that look. Dark, unflinching, affirming the mutual want we'd uncovered. It held steady, like the fence post in a storm, promising the pull wasn't one-sided. Her eyes traced my face, lingering where her thumb had brushed hours ago. Warmth stirred again, low in my chest, but calmer now, grounded. She nodded once, then moved on to her room, boots soft on the linoleum. The door clicked shut behind her, but the affirmation lingered, a silent thread connecting us through the walls. You know this fear, don't you? The universal dread of being seen, truly seen, when the world expects masks. In places like this town, it's sharper. Eyes on every corner, judgments wrapped in smiles at the diner or church steps. Hiding what you want feels safer, like clutching a book to your chest during a wind gust. But last night, with her hand on mine, that fear cracked. I see you wrestling it too, the pull toward someone who strips the pretense without a word. It's terrifying, that moment of exposure, but it binds you closer, makes the air between you hum with truth. I chuckled dryly to myself later, stacking books with unsteady hands. Small-town awkwardness in this newfound closeness. Imagine the whispers if we lingered too long at lunch, or if a parent caught our shared glances during assembly. Me, the English teacher, fumbling metaphors in real life, now navigating this with her, the history one who maps battles but dodges the town's gaze. We'd bump elbows in the lounge, her knee brushing mine under the table, and I'd freeze, half expecting the fluorescent lights to buzz a warning. Ridiculous, really, how the routine we'd both leaned on now felt charged, every nod a risk laced with thrill. But the humor faded quick, replaced by the solid strength of it. That shared touch built something unbreakable. Her fingers on my wrist, pulling me from hiding. No walls remained after that. Strength flowed from it, quiet and deep, like roots pushing through gravel. I stood taller at the board that afternoon, chalk steady as I wrote lines from Dickinson. The soul selects her own society. Mine had chosen, in that office dimness, and the echo of her warmth fortified me. No more clutching notes to shield my face. The vulnerability exposed felt like armor now, light and fitting. Desire wasn't a burden anymore, but a clear path, mutual and acknowledged. By late afternoon, the school day wound down, students spilling out to waiting trucks. Elena caught me in the hall again, her gaze pulling me aside near the office door. "Assembly tomorrow," she said low, hand brushing my arm briefly. "We'll face it together." The words carried weight, leading straight to the community confrontation waiting under the gym lights. Parents, whispers, eyes on us both. But with her steady presence, the fear dulled. Strength from that touch carried me forward. No hiding left. Just the courageous step into whatever came next. The assembly hall buzzed with the shuffle of feet and low murmurs. Rows of students and parents packed tight under the gym's vaulted ceiling. Banners hung limp from last night's rain, the air heavy with the scent of waxed floors and faint sweat from the morning's PE classes. I stood at the edge of the stage with Elena, script in hand, heart thudding against my ribs like a trapped bird. Whispers had started by noon, town eyes catching our hallway pauses, the way we'd lingered over coffee that morning. "Those teachers," someone had muttered in the lounge, voice laced with that familiar edge. Family pressures echoed too, my sister's call last night replaying. "Don't make waves. We watch out for each other here." But Elena's presence beside me steadied it all. Her shoulder inches from mine, a quiet anchor amid the crowd. The principal called us up, voice booming over the microphone about unity and town pride. We stepped forward, together, her boot nudging mine under the podium. As I read the opening lines, words on community and shared paths, her hand found mine behind the script, fingers lacing slow and deliberate. Not hidden, but private in its claim, thumb pressing into my palm like a secret vow. The touch sent warmth up my arm, grounding the knot in my chest. Eyes from the bleachers flicked our way, parents leaning to whisper, a farmer's wife narrowing her gaze. The air thickened with it, judgments hanging like the fluorescent hum overhead. Yet her grip held firm, unflinching, pulling me through the stairs. I glanced at her mid-sentence, our eyes meeting, brief but loaded. Dark and steady, hers said enough. We face this. The courageous choice bloomed then, raw and open, embracing the vulnerability we'd uncovered, in shadows now, under these lights. No more averted gazes or clutched notes. Desire over fear, hard-won and true. A student shifted in the front row, chairs creaking, but the shared breath between us drowned it out. Her inhale syncing with mine, warm and even, a rhythm only we felt in the crowded hall. Whispers rose as we finished, a ripple through the seats, but her hand stayed, public in its subtlety, claiming us both. As applause scattered, thin and hesitant, we stepped back, fingers still linked until the edge of the stage forced release. But the echo lingered, strength from that touch carrying through the dispersing crowd. Parents nodded polite hellos, eyes lingering longer now, but I met them straight, chin lifted. Elena's scar caught the light as she rolled her sleeve down, a reminder of endurance. We walked out, side by side, gravel lot waiting outside, trucks idling under the overcast sky. The confrontation passed, not shattered, but weathered. Desire's truth outweighing the fear, vulnerability no longer a weight, but a bridge. Her elbow brushed mine again, casual to others, intimate to us. In that crowded hall's aftermath, the choice felt right, open and unyielding, pulling us forward together. Our hands intertwined under the school bell's final toll, the clang fading into afternoon quiet. If you felt this quiet pull toward what you hide, share your story below. Subscribe for more tales of desires unveiled in the everyday.